In this podcast today, you will learn how you can use the power of AI to analyze and verify thousands of pages of property documents within seconds. Finally, artificial intelligence is here to increase efficiency of real estate transactions. Welcome to Insider Opinion. Keep subscribing and join our community of experts on WhatsApp. Link in description. Today we have with us Mr. Rajat Achar, founder of LegalByte based in Bengaluru. Welcome, Mr. Rajat.
Thank you, Pratik. Thank you for the warm introduction.
Rajat has designed an AI solution that analyzes thousands of pages of property documents within seconds, offering an efficiency improvement of over 95%. So for people like me who are scared of the enormous list of property documents to verify, finally we have artificial intelligence to help us out. Welcome, Mr. Rajat, and let's start this right away. From your experience, how are businesses using AI in real estate? And how is it helping them in cutting costs and increasing efficiency?
Sure. So, see, one of the critical aspects of businesses and how they marry into AI is the entire love for how can we automate things and how can we reduce costs along the way, because there's always cost pressure on businesses. Now, specifically to the property document verification stage and the due diligence, as we call it in the legal side of it. This is a rather notoriously manual task. A lot of times that you would have encountered with this activity with your lawyers, you would have seen that there is quite a bit of manual effort that gets into going through all of these documents and getting the picture of that property history, so that then the lawyers can advise their clients in the right way, and they can suggest the right things for their client. Now, how is AI going to help it? Quite simply put, a lot of these tasks can actually be automated. The machine can read these documents, and through custom training that has been given to these AI models, it can understand the laws of the state as well. So that way, it's able to do a lot of these legal work in quite a reduced amount of time, and it can help the entire ecosystem to take quicker decisions and move the transaction along much faster.
That's great. Thank you for introducing AI to real estate, and thanks for letting us know what AI is doing as of now to verify and to read thousands of documents. So, what are the biggest challenges in property document verification today, especially in the Indian real estate landscape?
So when we look at the Indian real estate landscape, what we need to understand is the entire property documentation review is quite complex. The laws are quite complex in India. Um, the review of these documents often span decades, with multiple transactions which have happened over a period of time on the property. Now, some of these documents are handwritten, and each state has their own varying law that needs to be incorporated into the analysis. Now, along all of these, there are missing approvals which are a common thing while checking the documents. Sometimes the title chain is unclear, and more often than not, sometimes the documents themselves might be forged in a way. Now, all of this, when we do it manually, it's quite time consuming, and we know the entire legal practice is quite meticulous in the way it works. They look for 100% compliance in most cases, so that they can advise their clients the right way. But manual verification of these thousands of pages is usually error prone, because ultimately it's a human who's doing at the end of it. So these are the major challenges that I can say in this entire space which is existent right now.
Okay. So how is AI as a solution, and not being very technical here, because most of our viewers would be business oriented. So not being very technical, how is AI addressing all these concerns?
So one thing we should know about AI is, like I said earlier, it is there to help and automate a lot of these tasks. What AI can do is it can extract key information from these documents by itself. Um, like I said, some of these documents might be in local languages. So AI also has there's technology power to also translate these documents into a base language, which can then be fed into an AI model, which is custom trained, and that will help identify all the missing approvals, the title chain breakage that I spoke about, and basically highlight the legal risks with that property, right? And the power of AI is also in such a way that with a lot of digitization of these land records happening from the government side through a lot of schemes which are there, uh, we can the platform can actually also extract some of these missing documents from the government portals, and it can add it to the analysis, so thereby getting a clear picture and also verifying the authenticity of these documents while doing it. So this is what the AI can do. All of these tasks, what the lawyer probably used to do manually, probably go to the government offices, apply for a copy of those documents, verify if these are original, technology can do it.
That's wonderful. Sounds like a lot of manual work will get cut out because of the AI.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, yeah. So, if we go one level deeper, so can you explain maybe in a few steps what are the key tasks that AI can perform during the document verification process that would otherwise, as we discussed, require significant time and expertise?
Okay. So we are living in an AI. I'll try to be as non-technical as possible here. In today's AI age, we have actually progressed to the next level of AI, and we are in the age of the agent AI right now. Now, agent AI, like you would have read, is an autonomous uh, worker of sorts, which actually can do the task and also get trained and learn by some of its mistakes so that the mistakes don't occur again, right? So think of it like a junior advocate who can be trained, and then they would keep doing the task without any errors going forward, right? Now, in a very simple due diligence process, typically the lawyer would expect the documents to be provided by their client, and they would get it from their seller. The documents are verified. Missing documents are requested. When the missing documents are provided, those would be verified again, and a legal opinion is drafted at the end of it. Now, what the AI can do is exactly all of these. It can accept documents from the user, like I said, extract the text, convert the text into maybe an English as an English language, feed it to custom AI models, which is trained on, let's say, Bangalore laws. The model will do the analysis, the key analysis in terms of checking for titles. It will check for any encumbrances that might be there on the property, any mortgages might be there on the property, check for zonal regulations, if all the approvals from the relevant departments are given. All of these checks can be done by AI, and it can actually give the information back to the user saying, as a checklist, these things are there, these things are not there. Would you like to provide additional information, or would you like me to proceed with generating a report which is acceptable on the legal side of it, with all the legal jargons, because a lot of institutes like the financial institutes and banks would require certain standards in terms of the reports. So all of that can also be done through AI at the end of it.
Okay. You refer to, let's say, a lawyer using this solution for property document verifications, right? But as an individual investor, right, people who buy or sell properties, how they can use the power of AI or using this solution? How can they use to cut out their manual work?
Absolutely. So I come from a family of lawyers, and a lot of folks, my friends, especially when they are investing in a property, they reach out to me to get acquainted to one of my family members for getting the due diligence of the property done. Often I've seen that the experience of working with a lawyer is something that people refrain from. It's not easy to speak to them. They use a lot of jargons. So ultimately, the end consumer relies on the lawyer, and whatever they say, they will take it at word at face value, and they execute it. Now, what AI does in this entire space, and how does it empower property buyer at the end of it, is one, this helps in instant risk assessment of the property they are trying to finalize, and it clarifies all the legal jargons and keeps it very simple for them to understand what is there, what is not there. Now, this helps the first time, especially first time buyers, because they would not have too much of clarity in terms of how do I go about it. They might not even know a lawyer in a lot of cases in the place that they are trying to buy a property. So we as a company, what we aim to do is, while there is a platform, there is an AI powered solution that can help give them clarity in terms of what is available, more often than not, they may require additional help based on the report that is generated by the AI. It might show certain risks, certain discrepancies, which can be fixed through legal help. So we are building that entire ecosystem of lawyers as well, which will be provided on demand for the property buyer. So in case they want additional help, that's available. So it will become a one-stop shop for all of the home buyers, that they can get the entire legal clarifications done, and they'll be safe in terms of purchasing that particular property.
So, Rajat, basically, what I understand is that along with the AI solution, definitely individual investors who are buying the property need a manual intervention as well. So, definitely, there will be a hybrid use of manual legal professional help, as well as a kind of cross check from the AI solution that is LegalByte, right? So
Absolutely.
with yeah,
Yeah,
so basically, if I am an individual investor, I would definitely rely on the manual legal professional help, but this solution gives me a tool for cross checking what is manually being checked by the lawyer, right? Just to be double sure that we don't miss anything.
absolutely. Yep.
Right.
Or you can do the other way around as well. You can use the tool to
Mhm.
get the initial clarity in terms of the property, and then you can use a lawyer to fix all the holes that you see as part of the assessment what has been done. So you can do it both ways as
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, as you mentioned, the documents are mostly in regional languages. So, in case of Karnataka, it will be in mostly in Kannada, and some English component will be there, but mostly in regional languages. So, what is the accuracy of the AI model that you mentioned in identifying the regional language, especially Kannada, or let's say Marathi, or let's say any other language?
well. Right. So now this is a great question, and I'll tell you why. This particular accuracy or the confidence of that particular model to read that particular document, which might be in a local language, is purely dependent on the quality of the document. Now there are documents which might be very clear, very well written, and they might be drafted using a computer or maybe even a typewriter. So there is a certain sense of standardization in terms of the text, how it has been put. I would say these documents are pretty good in terms of readability, and the technology can find it out. Now, if you go back, let's say to the 70s or the 60s, where a lot of these documents were handwritten in a lot of sense, there is a lot of noise with respect to that document. A lot of print quality might have deteriorated over time because of multiple copies being made, copy of a copy being made over a period of time, so the quality would not be that great. Now there are two approaches that we adopt here. Now, as a AI company, we are also responsible to ensure that the quality of output that comes out is also as close and as close to 100% for the checks that has been done. So first is pre-processing of the document to improve the quality. So we use tools to ensure that all of the external, uh, I would say, the anything that would hamper text reading, any unwanted marks which are there on the paper, all of these are kind of cleaned out, and only the text is made prominent by improving the readability of that particular document. So there is a pre-processing of that document done, and after pre-processing, when we run the tool, if there is still an issue of readability, or if the tool says my confidence score on this particular text is not more than 80% or 90%, then we actually ask the user to input the summarized version of the text, because there, and this beautifully ties back into the part where we mentioned there will be a manual or a human effort with the tool, and that's how I see this particular partnership being successful. So because the tool will not stand by itself, and a human process is way too long for today's world, today's generation. So it will be a collaborative partnership between man and machine, I would say. So here the human would summarize the text which is there on that page, so that then the platform will consider that and take it to the analysis that needs to be taken there.
Okay, thank you, Rajat. Thanks for that explanation. Now, so I'm being curious here now more, because we recently did a podcast on the list of documents to verify before buying a property in Karnataka, right? So, taking some knowledge from there, Can you list out some of the verification that the AI solution does? For example, encumbrance checks, mutation verification, compliance with regulations like RERA, etc., etc.
Absolutely. Now, when we talk about legal verifications for a particular property, we can categorize them into broad areas of checks. For example, one of the major uh, part is the title checks. Title check is basically the ownership pattern that has happened over the history of that property, right from the mother deed, as in how the property was acquired to an individual, to the current state, whoever owns the property. Now, all of these checks would be checking of all the deeds and the power of attorneys, which would be as part of the transaction. And these checks would involve links between each transactions to check if there is no breakage in between and all the documents show a clear and smooth transfer which has happened over a period of time. So title check is one of the key things that is checked. Second is encumbrance on the property. A latest encumbrance certificate of the property is always crucial to understand if there is any issue with the property. It also double checks on the current owner of the property. It gives very clear information on the mortgages on the property to ensure that all of the loans which have been taken on the property have been paid off, and there is no pending mortgage which would impact the ownership for the current buyer there. Third is all the zoning regulations which come as part of the property. So if you buy an apartment, typically there are different government agencies and bodies which need to approve for that apartment to exist. For example, you have the electricity body, you will have the water body, you'll have the fire department which needs to give an approval. In some cases, you would also have the airport authority which needs to give an approval. Sorry, so in these cases, we have to ensure that all the approvals for these documents are in place, including certain older laws for the approval of the land, right from PTCL to, let's say, a 48A extract which needs to be checked. Many a times, these properties which are there in Bangalore are joint developed with a developer. So to ensure there is a proper partnership between the landowner and the developer, the JDA of the document of the property is checked, the sharing agreement is checked to ensure what is the share pattern of that particular property or land or apartment which is being sold. The client who is buying a particular unit there, whose share does it come in? Now, for the transaction, is there a power of attorney given who will be the person responsible for the transaction? All of these are key information during the legal checks, which the lawyer typically provides to the client to ensure that their property transfer happens in a smooth and secure way, and the transaction is not with some unauthorized person who probably is not the right person to deal with that particular property.
Okay, thank you, Rajat. That was a very good extensive list of checks. In case the involving party, like the seller, is an NRI, so are there any additional checks that the AI solution will do?
Yeah. So when it comes to NRIs, and this is a common case these days because we have all, I mean, a lot of our relatives, family members are settled abroad, and we know some of them have invested in properties in India. And when trying to sell off that property, there is a key set of things that from a legal side is also checked. For example, anyone staying abroad in India, many times they would not be able to come for the transaction to back to India to facilitate that. So typically, they would give a power of attorney to one of their local representatives or one of their family members to execute the transaction. And this power of attorney, which is given, has to be executed at the Indian embassy in that local country wherever they're staying, and that has to uh, be vetted by the lawyer in a sense, to confirm the identity of the person who is owning the property. So that's one of the key things which, again, manual perspective, the lawyer checks. Our AI platform is also able to identify if the right document is executed in the right way and provide the right guidance for the client. As well as with respect to the NRIs, there are certain applicable taxes which need to be paid with respect to the property. So to check if the tax is paid updated manner for ensuring that there is no financial burden on the buyer after the transaction, and all of the charges are completed from the uh, seller side. These things are also as part of the guidance which will come out of the platform. So all of this is part of the NRI transaction protocols there.
Okay. So let's come to some of the negative parts. So what happens and how does AI identify some, let's say, disputes uh, that is evident from the documents, missing documents, or let's say, or let's say missing approvals.
So each property has a story to tell. When we look at all the documents which are provided for the analysis, uh, AI can actually start chronologically every year what transaction happened. It takes each document, it will look at the date of execution of that particular deed, it draws the entire timeline series, and it identifies what happened each year. Now, this way, if there is any skip in terms of, let's say, title, if a current owner of the property is not the one who is executing the transaction uh, for the next stage, then AI can find out. Then AI questions in terms of why is this person not transacting. In some cases, the person might have expired, and there might be additional documents like a family tree which need to be given to ensure succession of the respective heirs of the property. So AI can help in ensuring that the right questions are asked to identify the gaps and get it clarified from the users. In terms of its approval, in terms of mortgages, it is very clear that certain approvals not being there, and if the bank if the property is actually hypothecated to a bank for loan purposes, the way the transaction has to happen, uh, there is a specific nuance to it which the AI will guide. For example, in a hypothecated transaction, the seller has to first pay whatever is the pending loan amount, and the remaining amount, whatever is there after that, will go to the actual seller, to ensure that the bank does not have the rightful ownership of the property, and there's no defaultment of the loan after transacting. So AI can help guide in the right way to the users, and sometimes even the I've seen even the legal professionals would not have as much clarity as what we can do through AI, because the amount of training that an AI system gives, you can ensure that it can be to the level that is required as part of the compliance in the law of the land. So uh, that's how AI can help users in a lot of way to ensure that assess the risk of that particular property and then take a right call, saying if this risk is too high, should I proceed with the property or not, or is there a way I can mitigate this risk by adding additional documents, or in some cases, if the risk is not that high, I can take the leap of faith, and this is where the human comes in and suggests what's the right thing to do.
Hmm. Okay. And at the start, you mentioned that there are sometimes cases when the property documents are forged, right? So how can and if it is possible for AI to detect these kind of frauds?
In a lot of sense, yes. There is quite a bit of effort from the government side as well to ensure that the forged documents and this entire process, which was prevalent in the 90s and early 2000s, this is this is kind of subsidized or reduced to a large extent, and the government is doing its best effort to do it. But from a consumer's perspective, it is always very safe to get a legal opinion done. um, Again, why? Because this is maybe lakhs and crores worth of transaction and hard-earned money which is being put in a particular property, and we want to ensure that all bases are covered and there's no leakages anywhere. So it's always great to get that legal opinion even though government is putting enough efforts. Now, how does the fraudulent documents, how is it detected, how do we do it? um, right now, at least in a lot of states, a lot of these documents are digitized. We can apply for these are public records, and public can apply for these documents, a copy of these documents, to ensure that when they are transacting on a property, they get a clear picture of that property. In Bangalore, we have the Kaveri portal. We can apply for the certified copies of the sale deed. We can apply for the encumbrance certificates there. And what AI can actually do is, when it finds, I'll give you an example. Let's say there is an encumbrance certificate which has been provided to the system, and this encumbrance certificate is probably till the year 2022. Now, as part of the legal check, we would want a latest uh, dated encumbrance certificate to ensure that there is no transaction that has happened from 22 to 25 right now. So the system can actually apply for this, get a copy of it, and add it to the analysis to ensure that the analysis is complete and we don't have to worry about those 3 years period, what exactly happened. Similar case with a sale deed. Uh, a lot of times, the sale deeds, there were double transactions, double sale, which was happening earlier on a particular property. While this has been, there have been steps taken to stop all of this from the government side. From a consumer side, the lawyer always looks at the EC to ensure that, again, the title transfer and what reflects in the EC is correct, and there's been no anomaly mentioned there. And the AI would be able to check if there's any double transaction which has happened. So if there's any fraudulent activities which has happened, through pattern recognition and understanding if there is any, if there is a consistency across all of these documents there.
Okay, thank you, Rajat. I would like you to just give us a quick overview of how does the report look like, and we will show to our viewers a sample of one of the reports. But just mention what are the components of the final report of this AI solution.
Sure. So right now, our platform is working with legal professionals. So it's working with individual lawyers and law firms, especially the ones who practice real estate law. And typically, the report that we generate is in line with how the legal professionals generate it. In the future, when we actually think about the consumer or a home buyer at the end of it, the report would be much simplified to ensure that even they can understand what is there. So currently, the report has 6 different parts to it. The first part highlights the index of documents. So it talks about all the documents which have been verified as part of this analysis, to give a picture of what all has been checked for this. Part two actually goes into the description of these documents. So it gives a detailed description of each document, including the date of transaction, the parties who are involved, where was the transaction conducted, in some cases, who is the authority who has signed off on the transaction. So all of these for each of the documents is described in completeness. Section 3 talks about the schedule. And to make it simpler, schedule is basically the property in discussion which we want to purchase or transact. Now, this property might be part of a larger property. It might be a plot as part of thousands of plots in that society. It might be an apartment as part of hundreds of apartments in that complex. So it describes in sequence the larger boundaries of this particular project, and then zeroes down into that particular unit which is being transacted, right down to the level of describing the actual address, the dimensions, and the boundaries surrounding that particular property. The next section, section 4, talks about the title of that particular property. Now, this is the complete lineage of that property, all the transactions that have happened in the past from an ownership perspective. Uh, and here it highlights who is the current absolute owner of that property. The next section, section 5, would be the observation section. Now, this is where the typical legal professionals go, use their all creative skills to highlight what all has been checked and what all has not been checked, to ensure that there is clarity of any missing documents, any missing timeline of the document which has not been provided, to ensure that there is enough knowledge of the activity which has been done. And finally, section 6 gives the certificate of title. Now, usually certificate of title is given basis certain observations which has been done in section 5. uh, and then it calls out the person with whom the transaction can happen, and any particular condition that needs to be kept in mind in terms of authenticating further documents, and checking any other documents will be called out at the final section. Now, in our platform, in LegalByte's platform, we actually, all of this is generated through AI. The analysis happens through AI, and the generation of the legal report also through AI. So it's a complete AI life cycle in a sense for the product.
Okay, thanks for that insight, Rajat. So maybe a couple of last few questions. How does AI in this solution ensure the privacy and security of sensitive property documents?
Absolutely. Now, privacy and security in this case is a very crucial element, and for any organization operating in the legal tech space, this is one of the key areas that they focus upon. Now, from LegalByte, from our company's standpoint, we use encryption, and we secure all of these data in cloud storage devices. Apart from that, we also plan to implement personal data masking to ensure privacy. So, any documents which are uploaded, all of the personal information about the transaction, we aim to implement masking of this information, so that when it goes to further analysis, and it goes to some of these AI tools that we use, that way the actual data is not used. We probably use a surrogate data in that sense, and then when the analysis comes back to the user side, then it's reconverted to the actual data, and it is presented. So that way, masking of the data also helps in ensuring privacy of the transaction and the users. And like I said, just to reiterate, the entire legal tech side, there is high standards in terms of data security that is implemented, and with the new DPDP Act, which is being formed, a lot of companies would also start implementing it and follow the norms as set by the Indian government with respect to data handling.
Okay, so probably the last question. If you could envision the perfect AI driven property verification process, what would it look like?
Uh, See, like I will go back to the first question which you asked. How does AI help? AI helps in automating a lot of these tasks, makes it fast, yet brings in that trust and reliability while doing its job right. So, if I have to describe a perfect AI driven platform or for due diligence, I would say it being instant, it being reliable, and it being compliant to the law for verification. So, at every step of the transaction, the AI would be there to assist and to help quicken the decision making process, to help give clarity in terms of what needs to be done. To be honest, while as LegalByte, we are not there yet. We're making major strides in that direction to be in that space there. One more additional point: the perfect combination of AI would be a combination of machines working for humans. So while the machine does all the heavy lifting bit of it, the decision making and the strategic direction on assessing the risk will still be with the humans at the end of the day.
Thank you, Rajat. It was great talking to you today with those insights of AI in real estate. And hopefully,
Absolutely.
more and more AI will come into picture and will do the heavy lifting, as you said, in coming future. Thank you.
Thank you.